Hello and welcome back to another speed build video. My name's Jess and today I'm building in San Sequoia on a 64 by 64 lot. And today's build, as you can see, is a rec center, so I'm so excited to be able to build one of these new lot types from Growing Together and just giving it a try. It was definitely something that was a bit challenging for me. This is not my normal lot size that I build on. As you know, if you watch my channel, I'm a big fan of tiny homes and micro homes especially, so this is definitely quite the feat that I was able to get it all finished up, but I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I really hope that it will work well in everyone's games and you'll be able to see it being useful within your own gameplay. I really tried to consider different things that you might want for gameplay, and I tried to include as much as possible in this build. It is a big build, but somehow I wasn't able to fit in everything I had hoped for, so I don't know if I could have handled anything bigger than this though. So you can see I'm getting the wallpaper on, and I just used all the wallpaper siding from Growing Together. I think they all looked really nice together, so I figured I might as well just use them as is. I really love that new metal siding, and being able to use it for a community lot just makes sense to me. And of course the new wood siding is so beautiful. I'm so happy we have it in the game now, and you'll see I use that on the interior as well in quite a few areas. Basically, whenever I was like not sure what wallpaper to use, I was like, I'll just do an accent wall with the beautiful new wood siding. So one thing I did use a lot in this game is all these wall pieces from Eco Lifestyle. So you'll see that a bit in the front, as you can see, and in the back of the build I do use quite a bit, kind of custom make a little like gazebo type area, and you'll see that in just a bit, but I really like how it turned out. But here we're just adding in the windows and doors and all the different little decor pieces, and I'm just trying to adjust everything to make sure I have it in the perfect spot for building this all again. So I wanted to add in a little parking lot area. One thing with this whole build, I really wanted to make it look as realistic as possible and sit into the world really nicely. And also you may have noticed if you have played this lot, I do have this lot backwards right now. I didn't even realize I was doing that, but it's because I wanted the better lighting on the back of the build because I knew I'd be doing more intricate building back there. But when you download this from the gallery, it will be flipped the other way, just so you know. Just was kind of building it backwards. I like to do that on builds just to get the best lighting on usually the front of a build. So I'll oftentimes flip a house if the lighting's better in the backyard, or in this case in the whole back of the build. So you can see I've just about finished the windows, but that is like the crazy thing about doing lots this big is already I've been doing the windows for quite a bit of time, and this is sped up a lot, like way more than my normal videos are sped up. So the fact it took me that long is pretty crazy. Like, just everything takes so much longer in builds like this. But you can see I'm starting in on just adding the details to the front. I wanted to add in, of course, cars, which if you are curious, they are in live edit. When you do that cheat, you can get the cars out. So I wanted to keep the landscaping pretty simple, so I went for this bush from Get Together, and I basically just went all around, and then on the interior just used this base game bush just a little bit, but I wanted to keep this looking pretty modern, so I thought keeping the greenery really simple would be the best kind of option, and then you could still see the grass through it. And over here I did mean to place a dumpster in that little like concrete area, but I forgot to do that on camera, but I promise there is a dumpster there and a recycler. So your Sims, I was trying to think of like if you're doing rags to riches, it's nice to be able to dumpster dive. So I wanted to make sure there was a dumpster in this lot. And I wanted to add in just a few decorations to the outside, but again, I tried to keep this kind of sleek and minimal. So I used those flags. Those ones are from Get Together, but I think we have them in base game as well. And they're a live edit object, and so is that bike rack. But I got to use the new bikes from the pack, the little bikes for kids, which I just think is so cute. And then if you're wondering where those flags are from, they're from base game. So you can see I quickly made a little custom bus stop area. And like I said, I used a lot of the eco lifestyle wall decoration. And I think that made the bus stop kind of look like it blended into the building itself. So I really like how that came out. And now I'm just doing the bit of landscaping on the back of the build. And again, kept it pretty simple. And like I said, I'm just using those couple different landscaping pieces until I get to like the community garden area, which I do switch it up over there. But you'll see it's kind of a mystery right now what all these like components are going to be, but you can see I am starting off with a tree house. I just felt like I had to add a tree house into this build because it is a new item, and there's a slide when it's fully upgraded. And what I did was just download it from the gallery, and I'll be sure to link down below the name of the person I got it from, but you can just download one that's already built, so you don't have to go through the process if you don't want to, which I don't know if I would have been able to on a community lot, have people build the treehouse, but it would be a pretty fun activity to do like in a community center. So anyways, you can see I'm working on the splash pad, and I just wanted to make it look really fun and add in all the new items we got. And that beautiful like rainbow tree looking like flower thing is from Live Edit in Growing Together. It's such a beautiful piece, and I knew when I saw that I wanted to put it over by the splash pad area. So I think that came together really nicely. And one thing about this build is I do kind of go for using bright colors on the inside. So it's modern, but with like pops of color everywhere. So I wanted to carry that through to the outside, but still keep this kind of tan wood color going through it as well. So here you can see I'm just adding a few more items to the playground. So of course, over by the treehouse, there's the playground. And then as you saw, there's the little barbecue kind of area. So I thought that's of course really fun with your family to do a little barbecue. And here is where the community garden is going to be. So I wanted to make it look really modern and really blend with the build itself. So I went ahead and used the tool mod to create this custom kind of trellis area. And I wanted it to look like maybe this area had native plants all around it. So I tried to grab plants that I saw from the outside, but also plants that were nice and green and lush. So you'll see how I use them in just a second. Unless I start the other build first, I might have done that. But I really wanted to use this plant from Snowy Escape so then I could have it kind of draping down. And I just think that looks so beautiful. And I didn't want it to look too perfect or anything. So I wanted to make it look like the bushes and the ivy were just growing all over the place. And I just thought that it kept a really natural look. And again, I wanted to make it look like this was more local plants than like a really manicured area. I just thought that would be more interesting to look at. So here you can see I'm just adding in the plants, and I use plants from, of course, Growing Together. That's where that orange group of flowers is from. And then Snowy Escape and Werewolves, actually, which is kind of random, but I really, really like how it came together. And there you can see I was just making some plaques with just a debug fence post piece. And then the plaque, if you just search plaque in the search bar, that will come up. And I just thought it would work to like describe the different native plants you were seeing. I thought that was just like a fun little detail that I feel like I've seen at community centers before. So I thought it would work really nicely. So here again, we are going to use the pieces from Eco Lifestyle to make a little custom area, covered area. And this is actually an area for like weddings. So I guess you could call it like a wedding pavilion. And I really just wanted to try and make an area that was covered as much as I could, that would blend in with the rest of the build. And I did kind of adjust and readjust these flowers. And that area might change a little because I wasn't super happy with it, but you'll just have to see when you upload it. But here you can see just tried to add in the basic wedding necessities that you might need. Now, I have to be honest, I still haven't played with my wedding stories, so I may have definitely kept something important out. So if you do catch it, let me know in the comments down below, because I do have to do some major playtesting with this build, so it won't be up on the gallery for a couple days if you're seeing this right when I upload it. So I did do some play testing and definitely caught a few things that weren't working. So definitely let me know, and I can hopefully change that before I get it up on the gallery. But here you can see I wanted to add in a big sunlight to the top of the roof here. And you'll see a little bit later why I want to do that. There's kind of a main focus in the entryway. And so I wanted to have that sunlight going down on that area that you kind of got a sneak peek of just there. And I really like how it came together. So there is going to be a little janitor's room where the janitor can come up onto the roof and fix the, what are those called? Solar panels. And the wind turbine things as well. And I figured your Sims, if they'd want to use that too. But we finally finished the outside, and oh my gosh, that took me such a long time in real life. So it's always crazy seeing it sped up. But here you can see we're working on the interior, and this is what I was talking about, the kind of main part of the entryway. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. But I do have to say it doesn't end up being functional. I really wanted it to be a place your Sims could sit and relax, but just because space-wise, I couldn't get the platforms to raise up how much I needed them to. I had to raise them double, so your Sims can't sit on each of the platforms. It will make sense when you see me put in the bench. There's just not enough space for your Sims to sit, but I think it looks nice, so I'm happy I added it in. But I will say this is one area where I did have to make a major change, which some of you might have recognized right away, but your Sims for some reason don't like walking up the stairs all the way. They'll get there halfway, but they won't go all the way up to the second level. And those were the only stairs that I put in to get to the second level. So what I did was I just scooched it in, and you have a full set of stairs on either side. And I still think it looks nice, and you're able to get the effect that you have with this kind of cool, what's supposed to look like a bench system. And I just makes me grateful we have platforms in the game. But anyways, you can see here I'm started working on the like table when you like receptionist table when you enter the building. And I just kept it really simple with just a few plants and tried to make it look inviting like I imagine this lot is. I really want it to feel like a place for families to go. And so that was part of why I wanted to do these bright colors. So these seats from Discover University came in so handy. They just worked so perfectly to add in that bold color. And I really wanted to go for the primary colors. So keeping that red, blue, and yellow kind of throughout. But of course I use every color in the build. But here you can see I'm working on just a small cafe area. Obviously it's not functional unless you want to make this a cafe, which would be kind of funny to have this gigantic lot just be a cafe, but it would still work. You'd be able to do everything on it. So that would be fine. But I kept this cafe just really simple. One thing I had to keep in mind with this build was the fact it was so big. So I wanted to clutter things up, but not do it too much where it would make the lot lag a ton. But this still definitely has a bit of clutter, that's for sure. But I tried to keep in mind just the time I had and not making things too crazy cluttered. But here you can see, of course, I'm adding in clutter as I'm talking about my attempt to kind of stop myself from making it a little too crazy. But I wanted to have these mugs on the corner. I just had all these ideas when I was building, like they were selling mugs that like the kids made in pottery class or something like that. I thought that would be just like a cute storyline in my head. So that's why I wanted to add those in. And of course, you need a little area to have like mix up your coffee or like put some ketchup on your food, stuff like that. So I have that little area with the garbage. And then I added in some dining room tables, and I love these new chairs that we got with Growing Together. They work so well for a rec center. I don't think I'll ever use them outside of this context, but they were perfect for this build. Just being able to have that bright color, because I really struggled to figure out what wallpapers I should use. So having that bold color against the white just worked so well. And here you can see I'm adding in the benches, and hopefully you can tell your sim just definitely can't sit on these benches. There's just not enough space. But I had hoped I could have made it work where your Sims could sit there. But I still really love the effect of it, and hopefully you like it too. Mainly I was just going for that kind of centerpiece sort of look to it. Kind of main architectural element kind of deal. So here you can see I'm working on the cafeteria. So in the cafeteria, I just used these chef stations on either side. So I thought it kind of looked like you could pick up some fresh food on either side of the cafeteria. And of course had to add in just a few items to make it feel a little bit more homey, a little bit more used. And I'm hoping this is also an area your Sims could cook at. I don't know if you can use this the chef station. Sorry, my lisp came out there. But I don't know if you can use it as an oven. But I am going to play test that. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to add an oven in. So your Sims could, like, let's say, make cakes if you needed to do a quick wedding on this lot. Since I did include the whole wedding venue out there, you kind of need to have a cake. So here in the center, I just tried to make different zones. So a little zone where you grab your plate to pick up your food, and wanted to make sure to add in a microwave, some coffee, and the tea little area. So your Sims could also have those. And if you're wondering where that main center cafeteria table is from, it's from high school years. And it's not functional, but I think it looks perfect in the cafeteria. And of course, the last thing I had to do was add in some vending machines, so your Sims can definitely eat on this lot. So now moving on over to the swimming pool area, which is one of my favorite areas in the build. I just think it looks so inviting. I added in just some diving boards, some lines to keep it all separate. And I wanted to make it look like there was a little lifeguard area on this section. So I ended up opting just for one chair and then just grabbing out a bullhorn and a water bottle just to make it look a little bit more official. And of course, having places to sit. I don't know about you, like I took swimming lessons when I was younger, and I just have like a memory of my parents like sitting in bleachers waiting for it to be over and cheering me on. So I wanted to make sure there was benches. So in my mind, when the kids are at swimming lessons, there'd be a place for parents to sit, even though of course you can't do that in The Sims. I just wanted that to come to life in my build. Even if it doesn't function in The Sims, my story still exists and I get to have the build the way I want it. But I added in I changed up the benches to match the primary colors I was going for. And if you can tell, I added in some a little towel area and a hamper for you to put your towels in. Really, really enjoyed that. So here you can see I'm working on the bathrooms, and so each area has a little shower because that is one of the like, what do you call that, components that The Sims has for this lot. You have to, requirements, there we go. It's one of the requirements for this lot. So I made sure to add that in, and I of course had to add the new wallpaper that we got with the pack, the new tile, and I love how it came together. I just think that it's such a cute little shower area, and then I just kept it white and bright on the outside, and I really like how these little bathrooms turned out. And of course, I think they're really functional, which is all you really need with a bathroom, but this is definitely one of the bigger bathrooms I've ever built, so it was kind of difficult to figure out what exactly to add in. So I was trying to come up with a few things, and then I figured adding in a bench would make complete sense. So I used more of the benches I was using on the rest of the build. I definitely relied on these benches a ton. They're from high school years, if you are wondering. They're so perfect and definitely filled in the space nicely that I just really was not sure what to put in there. So I was able to get some lockers too, which we got new lockers with this pack. I had no idea. Definitely discovered a few items that I didn't realize were included doing this build. So that was kind of fun. But one of the things I wanted to mention was the last time I did a build like this was actually for high school years. So doing this big build, thinking about like all the different things that you would see in a space like this was definitely what I did when I did my high school years build. So it very much felt like that build as well. And if you do want to check that out, I guess I could link it down below too. I'm very proud of that build, just like I'm proud of this one. I think that I was able to think through things really nicely. So one thing I wanted to do in each of the rooms was have some like text sign. Well, of course it's like Simlish text, but have it kind of represent each room. So that was my little like sign pointing to the pool, which I just really like all those small elements I was able to add in. And in the gym, I wanted to be sure to add in the rock climbing machine, just because I thought that's a place like you don't normally get that skill unless you are playing in Mount Komorabi. So I thought it would just be cool to have in the gym. So I kind of planned this whole gym around the rock climbing machine. So I'm really happy I was able to get it in, and I think it looks really nice, and I was able to add in all the equipment you'll need. And I did already play test in the gym. Everything's working just fine. So that's great to know. And I have to say, for the gym, everyday clutter comes in so handy. And spa day. It really, I don't think I could have done this build without it. I just really needed those little items to fill in the blanks. So we have that little like yoga mat item with a kettlebell, and then like a little weight set, like a whole workout set in a basket. So I thought maybe like people would bring those around with them to the weight machines and use those as well. But upstairs, I wanted there to be 2 different exercise rooms. So one, I just left space so you could do, I'm pretty sure you can do like Zumba type videos on the TV. So I thought that would be kind of fun to have like a Zumba class. And then of course, I have to add in a yoga class as well. So you'll see that in just a second in the other room. But just adding in a few details to this upper sort of middle space, and you can see again adding in that like decal to kind of make it look like each room is labeled, because we did get this really cool sign item from Growing Together, but for rec centers, but it doesn't have that many different swatches to it. So I didn't want to just keep using the same thing over and over again. So I thought I'd just make use of all the different signage we have. And I have to say I started running out of signs by the end of the build, but I was able to pull it off in the end. So around here, because of the rock climbing wall where I needed to punch out the top of the roof, I wanted to do like a little running track above the rest of the build. So I don't know if this would be functional for your Sims to run around here. I think you'd have to tell them to run in order to get it, but I really like the look of it. And I used those line pieces from, I think it's Spa Day actually, to kind of make that look like it is a little running area. I'm trying to think, there's a different word I'm trying to think of, but it's not coming to me, but a little track, there we go. So I thought that came together really nicely, and I really like how the gym turned out. I think it definitely has those modern lines, but still has some of the bright colors to it, and just looks fun. That's really what I was going for with this build. I was just trying to make things fun. So here is the cafeteria kind of area. And I wanted to make it look like there's a bit of a stage that people could do like events here. I kind of saw it as like, if you could do high school graduation, like maybe this is a place you could do it. But you can see I added in a TV and then a debate stand. So that's from Discover University. So I wanted to make sure if your Sim was going to university, they could get all the skills they needed if they came to this lot. So I added that in so your Sims would be able to get that skill up if you needed it. So of course, adding in those bright colors, I went ahead and changed all the tables to kind of be the matching color, which I thought was cute. And over there, I wanted to make it look like the trash cans were like compostable, trash, recycle kind of thing. So I used the arrows to kind of change the color, and I think it was actually like pretty convincing. Yeah, so I really like how that cafeteria came together. One thing about this build that was pretty funny, it was so big and I was so overwhelmed by it that I actually made a checklist of each of the rooms I would have to do so I could check it off as I was building because it was just getting so overwhelming. So it was like giving me that sense of accomplishment every time I was able to check one off, which kept me going as I was doing this build. So it was nice when I got to build rooms like the bathroom because it took me, of course, not that much time. So I was able to check it off pretty quickly and finish off a room, which was nice. But you can see I made one bathroom a family bathroom. So I wanted to be sure to add in a changing table and a little potty for the toddler. So hopefully all of it will be functional and great for gameplay. That this is really when I started thinking about things that would work well for gameplay. So one of those things is adding in this little play area, which is for infants and toddlers. So one thing I really wanted to be sure to do is make sure that this was on the bottom level, so you didn't have to walk up the stairs with your toddler and infant. You could just have them here and let them hang out. So this is the tiny little infant area. And when I was playtesting this, I just left the infant on one of the mats and had my Sim go bowling. And the infant was fine. They just fell asleep on the mat. So hopefully that'll be something that can happen for you when you're playing this. So then your Sims can kind of do their own thing. But of course you need the toddler stuff pack to have this little jungle gym area. But again, I tried to think of what we have in game that would be really nice to have in each build or in each room of this build. So I thought having that little toddler play place would be really nice in a build like this. So I wanted to be sure there was a little room where your infant could sleep. So I kind of thought of this as like the mother's room. or kind of parents' room. So kind of like the place where oftentimes in different buildings, they'll have like areas where moms can go and breastfeed. So I thought that would kind of be the same kind of space. And I thought that was just like a cool addition to this build. Tried to, again, think of what would work best for gameplay. And of course, one of the things I had to add in, just because it's so easy to forget we have this in game, but a bowling alley, I just think is the perfect addition to this build. And I did play test it, and that's all working totally fine. So that was good news to me. So basically when decorating this, I just used bowling night. It worked perfectly. And I mean, I guess here, of course, I'm using stuff from university and high school years, but I really love how this little area came together. And I just think it's so fun for gameplay to do bowling and like come here with your family to go bowling. I just thought that would be so fun. So you can also see I used a photo booth from high school years, so I was happy to add that in. I have no idea if that's functional. I'll have to look it up to see if it works. Not look it up, play test it and find out, but I thought that would be a fun little element to add in a photo booth to the bowling alley area. Again, it's like things that I have in my mind that I'm used to seeing in a place like a bowling alley is, of course, like you get pictures with your friends. So I had to add it in. So here you can see I'm working on the main area of the second level. So I just wanted to add in a ton of seating, really, for your Sims to just hang out. And then I added in these display boards that came with Growing Together. So it looks like you're displaying like different artwork that kids made, which I just think is so cute and definitely reminds me of the community centers that I've been to before, or rec centers. And here I was just trying to add in some pieces to just break it up because it was just feeling very symmetrical and very much the same. So yeah, I was just trying to add in a few pieces like the career table because I thought it would kind of work to be a space where maybe people were advertising their class at the rec center. So I added those in from high school years, which I think ended up being a great addition. So here we're starting on the first kind of classroom area. So this is going to be the music class. And I'm so glad we have an upright piano now. I only got to use one in this build, but I was very happy to be able to use it. So this area I kind of considered to be the place where you'd actually do music class and learn. And also I always like to add in a little recording booth where you can do the sound mixing. I believe it's from Get Famous, but that little item where you can create music. But I like to make it look like there's a little recording booth. So on the other side, I'm going to add in some mics and some headphones. And I really like this little area. I can imagine it being used by the community. And so hopefully you can imagine it in your game. And I wanted to add in this piece from Dream Home Decorator. That's what it is. Because I thought it looks like those noise dampening foam that people will put on their walls. So I thought it made sense in a recording studio. But here you can see I'm working on the second half of the kind of music area. So for the music area, I wanted there to be a classroom, but also a little performance stage. I just thought that would be nice and something that again would be utilized, and I thought you could do like poetry nights here as well. And so I added in just a few of those items on stage, different musical instruments, and of course a mic, and then just added in those amazing seats I'm so happy we have in game. And as you can see, I'm definitely going for color in this build. And I was so happy to have those record pieces from high school years because I just think it made that stage space a lot more fun. Here you can see we are now moving on to another little area this is the janitor's closet. So I just wanted there to be a little bit of space that kind of looked like there was a janitor who exists at this building because it's so big, and would take a lot to have on, to keep everything together. So I went ahead and just used all the different items we have in game that kind of make things seem like they would keep stuff functioning. So here we're moving on to the room next to it, which is going to be our craft room. So I wanted there to be a room specifically for crafty kind of things. I kind of saw it as like knitting club, and so I used a lot of nifty knitting in this room, and I love how it came together. I think it's so soft, and it has kind of a 70s vibe, which I think ended up really cool. And of course, there's a ton of knitting, there's cross stitching, and then there's the little friendship bracelet kits that we got with Growing Together. And I really, really love this room. It's probably my favorite kind of classroom type area. I think part of it is because this is where I would hang out. I don't know how to knit, but I like to think that I could figure it out. But I think I would find my people in the knitting group. But you can see I'm just kind of figuring out a rug that will work here, and I love this new one from Growing Together, so I was really happy to get it to work. And then I just wanted to make it look like there was a supply closet, so I used these wardrobes from base game. Perfect, no problem to add that in. And then I just wanted to add a shelf with some of the crafted materials that you make from doing knitting. And the last thing, I wanted to add in a chair stack to make it seem like if more people came, there is chairs you could unstack for them to join in. So moving on, we're headed to the game room, and in the game room, I just added in the arcade machine, a ping pong table, a foosball table, and then lots of different game tables as well as darts. So I will say the spacing was kind of difficult to figure out in this build, but I think I was able to make it look pretty nice. There are like spaces where I had to leave gaps that I didn't love, but I think it came together and looks pretty convincing and fun. So I tried to use different tables for having different games. I've never ever actually used any of the game tables before in gameplay, so I don't know if they have different games, but I just kind of assumed they do. So you can definitely let me know down below if I'm just using random ones that all have the same game. But I just assumed they'd be different. So upstairs, we're adding in the only bathroom, but I wanted to be sure there was a bathroom upstairs as well. So kept it, of course, pretty identical to the bathrooms down below. It just can't fit in one of those stalls, which is totally fine, and I think worked out really nicely. So here you can see, I'm sure you can guess by the wallpaper I chose that this was going to be the art room. I, of course, had to add in an art room and a science room because I wanted to have rooms where your kids could build the skills that they need for some of their milestones, or not milestones. I can't think of the word, but they're the thing where the aspiration. There we go. So I wanted to add in a space where, of course, your adult Sims could also be creative and kind of craft things. So I added in a few different tables and the fabricator, which I thought would be nice. And of course, there is a recycler and dumpster on this lot, so you can get bits and pieces to be able to use the fabricator. But I, of course, had to add in the kids' table. And so I just went with this one from, I believe it's from Seasons. I could be wrong. But this I thought would just be really functional for gameplay. And there you could see I found an item I thought would work well in the craft room. And we have so many fun new statues that came with Growing Together. And so I tried to add in as much as I could with the bears. I just think they are so cute and look so creative and just perfect for what I was going for with this build. So you can see I was searching for a sign I hadn't used yet, but I was able to find one. And this is going to be like kind of the science classroom. So it is a little, or I guess you could say like logic as well, logic building room. This is one where I'm like, I don't think you would ever be able to have some of this equipment in just a community center, but, you know, in The Sims you can. So I added in the microscope and then the pieces we have from Get Together. And then I wanted to be sure to add in some chess tables so your Sims can build their logic. And of course, using the chemistry set for the kids just looked so, so cute. And I was getting really confused by this poster because it's kept disappearing when I selected it with the tool mod, but it still worked with tool mod. It just was disappearing. It was so weird. And then on the exterior space, there was just enough room to add in a rocket ship, so why not add that in? And of course, some telescopes outside so your Sims can observe the skies. So the last room we have to do, and thank you for joining me for this very, very long voiceover. It's the longest I've ever done. So I definitely did my best to stay on track with what I was building, but it's pretty easy to go on tangents. But here you can see I'm building a kind of reading, kids reading area. So I thought like you could do story time here, and that would be really cute, and it'd be cute to read to your kids here in this space. So yeah, I hope that will work well in gameplay. But for the library, I did find spacing it out to be a little bit difficult. So you'll see here I kind of change things around and have to shuffle them here and there, but I was able to figure it out. And here you can see I'm adding in just a small little librarian table with, of course, some stacks of books that need to be put away, which I just thought was really cute. And now we're adding in the new bookshelves, which I love these bookshelves that we got with Growing Together. I think they're such a good addition to the game. And of course, the ones with the shapes on them are really, really fun to be by the kids area. I just think it worked out so well. And I'm so, so happy with the items we got. I will say some of them I loved in this build, but I definitely won't use again. But for this build, I discovered so many items that I was so happy with. So now you can see I'm just adding in the rest of the bookshelves. And I did add in a little computer area. And over there, I'll be sure to add in not only computers, but research machines, again, for your Sims who are doing university. I tried to keep them in mind as I was building, so added that in. Over here, I just wanted to add in a little area where your Sims could sit and use some of those new decals we got with the pack, which I think are so cute with the little sloth reading. I thought that was really sweet. And actually, we're coming close to the end of the build. It's hard to tell exactly, but I want to thank you so much for watching and dealing with this super long video that I have for you today. I really, really hope you enjoyed this build and can see it functioning in your game really well. But I hope you have a great day, a great week. Thanks again for watching. Bye.